Achieving our goals and dreams can sometimes feel overwhelming. For immigrants to a new country, barriers can make goals continue to feel further away. However, there are steps we can all take to actualize our visions, and Jennifer Beitz helps people set goals to achieve them. From fitness to reflection and overcoming the limitations we put on ourselves are just some of the discussions on this episode of You Talk. Let's get into it.
First of all, let me start by saying how grateful I am to have this opportunity to chat with you today. Thank you for inviting me.
No worries.
I'm looking forward to sharing my story with your audience. And to begin, my name is Jennifer Beitz. I am an empowerment coach. I am an author, and I am an adult education instructor. In fact, I've been working with international students for over 2 years now. I've been working with them at a vocational school, preparing them for the Canadian workplace. And I've worked with students from India, from China, from Chile, from the Philippines. And it's been such an expansion of my growth being in this role for the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's something I've found has been incredibly fulfilling, connecting with diverse communities and individuals from all over the world.
Yeah.
The different perspectives that they bring when you're having a conversation, you'll say something, they'll say something, and you'll be like, oh, I've never thought about it that way before. And it's just exciting and I think incredibly fulfilling for individuals to expand their network and the people that they connect with.
Yeah, right. And just hearing about the trials and the tribulations that they have had to overcome in order to come to another country and to, use my own language, to start over, right? Despite bringing experience with them, they're coming to a new country, and certainly culture shock is part of that. Mm-hmm. And so learning through them, through their experiences, and then having the empathy and the compassion to meet them where they are has been a very fulfilling experience. Mm-hmm. So to your point, Ryan, yes, definitely fulfilling.
I know when talking with Immigrant Center Manitoba and other immigrant networks, they talk about the challenges sometimes that newcomers experience and some of the frustrations that can come when, they have a plan and they come in and they find through either red tape or some sort of other legal means, their goals are kind of pushed off to the side. And a lot of these centers are talked about, we need to have more migrants and immigrants at the table in these conversations, in developing legislation and laws, because we only have a certain experience as naturalized born Canadians here, that we take a lot of things for granted of just happening to be our place of birth. And Canada needs immigrants. We need fresh blood coming in, giving new ideas, helping fill industry. That's how we grow.
Right. And that's when innovation can really happen as well, right? With those new perspectives, those different ideas that we weren't considering, being, like you said, surrounded by so many familiar things. And it's only when we're willing to have different conversations and hear different perspectives that we become aware. Right? And awareness is key to growth.
Coming back around, an empowerment coach.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does that look like? And how did you get involved in that?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Ryan. And thank you for asking, as I'm sure there might be some people in your audience that aren't familiar with it. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain that to your audience. So I stumbled into life coaching myself several years ago. I was going through a period in my life where I wasn't feeling fulfilled at my job, in my personal relationship, and it was impacting my relationships. And it was at that time I was going through a transition in my personal life, one that was affecting my family unit. And having been through counseling before, I was ready to start something new. I was ready to make a change. And honestly, Ryan, I didn't know where to start.
I think that's a relatable experience for many people.
Right? You got this passion or this enthusiasm for new, and yet we're terrified of the new or the unknown.
What's that idea of like, okay, if I try and fail, what's the point in even investing that energy into that effort?
Absolutely, right? And some of those limiting beliefs, like you just mentioned, that one, what if I fail? Right? I've had that limiting belief. And so as I started to want new change and invite change into my life, I went to good old Google and I typed up life coaching. I had done some reading on it and I wanted to explore it further. And I wanted to pursue a coach. And it was through that experience that I stumbled upon a trainer here in Winnipeg that offers ICF accredited life coach training. And that experience really transformed who I am today. And I started to develop a love for coaching others and really helping them reach their potential. Because I recognized in my journey, I wasn't really at my fullest potential for a lot of various reasons. And so as I started to grow in my curiosity, I started to look into more personal development. And it was through that I increased my self-awareness. And in fact, what really caught my attention in the beginning was this literature on a growth mindset. Are you familiar with that, Ryan? Oh, I found this fabulous work by an author named Carol Dweck. Her last name is spelled D-W-E-C-K.
So everyone listening, make a note right there.
She's written this fabulous book on the growth mindset. I believe there's even a TED Talk out. I would encourage your audience to look that up. And it was through her assessment of my mindset that I discovered, in fact, I wasn't really engaging in a growth mindset. I had a lot of limiting beliefs going on in my mind about who I was and what I was capable of doing. And that was the beginning of my journey, Ryan, in discovering more of my strengths and starting to build confidence and starting to set goals and suddenly seeing different results.
It's incredibly liberating in those moments of allowing yourself to take risks, it's okay to have thoughts of potential failure and things, but not to have it limit you.
Right.
It can help you in terms of maybe not overextending yourself. Like, okay, maybe that's too much. Let's take steps to get towards that goal. And goals don't have to be lofty or life-changing, just small things. Like for myself, I am starting working out a little bit more, trying to get healthy. I'm 30 now, and if I don't do things now, there could be potential consequences in the future. And if I do it now while I'm still able, it's going to be easier down the line. So taking those chances, taking those opportunities, even if they're small steps.
That's where we will experience the most growth, is when we take something big and chunk it down into smaller steps, right? And every step compounds along the way, right? We aren't always able to climb the mountain in a day, right? It takes time, and coaching takes time, right? I don't promise clients results overnight. I know from my own transformation that change takes time. And oftentimes during change, we can be very hard on ourselves. And judgment, we tend to judge ourselves very harshly when we're going through change and maybe not experiencing that success that we so badly want right in the beginning, right? And so coaching, really, an empowerment coach I help individuals. As an empowerment coach, I help individuals become more self-aware and to develop goals and to take action towards creating positive change.
So those are kind of the steps towards actualization of a goal then. Okay, so let's take an example, like someone is looking for a career change. Maybe they've been in an industry or at a workplace for many, many years, and they're not seeing any promotions or any opportunities for growth, and they're not sure where to start. What would that conversation look like in those first early days to achieve those goals? And I know when I say actualization, people might think like, oh, you think about it enough, it's going to just apparate. It's like, from my perspective, actualization is more of you're setting a goal and you're taking actions for those events to take place.
And so a goal such as the one you've mentioned would really require some reflection to begin, right? And really sitting down with yourself and asking yourself some deeper questions, such as, what really does make you happy? I know for me, along my journey, I couldn't really answer that question. I wanted success so badly. I wasn't achieving success at my job or in life at the moment. And I really didn't know what to do. And it was through self-reflection and asking myself what makes me happy that I started to tap more into that personal development that I had mentioned earlier. And I started reading more books on how to achieve your goals. In fact, I started reading more about athletes who could achieve their goals despite the circumstances. And I was really curious, knowing that an athlete can meet failure more than once. How do they bounce back? How do they get up and get back in that ring? And so I started to read more. I started to listen to podcasts more. I started to have conversations with others. And through that, I started to setting some personal goals for myself. Now, back then, I wasn't as involved in fitness as I am today, to your point. That's something that has really changed my life. And I had no idea how much it would change my life until I actually started to set a goal, a small goal, and to take action to create that change, that I suddenly started to see the results.
I think it's discipline, whether it's physical,
right,
or mental, your work or things take discipline. I know I struggle sometimes with focus at work. Sometimes you're like, I can just scroll on my phone for a little bit longer. I don't want to do this task right now. Well, you need discipline in order to be like, okay, I can't do the things that I would want to do right now. That's okay. I can do that later. I need to focus right now, do the best job I can. And I think fitness is starting to help me in that direction by building those habits of like, okay, even if I don't want to in that moment, but I want to in the long run achieve a certain idea, a physique, a goal. And by taking those steps, right now it's every week I increase the number of reps in my sets by 2 each week. So every Friday it goes up by 2. And for yesterday, like the Sunday and Monday, I'm like, this is awful. Just those extra 2 in those 2 sets is just it feels like just so much further, but now it got a little bit easier. And I'm dreading this upcoming one, but I know it'll get a little bit easier as I work through it.
I love that. And first off, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, it's not easy to make changes. And to your point, Ryan, when you said, I don't want to do it, it's in those moments that we don't want to do it, that if we push through that discomfort, that's when we're building that inner resilience and that confidence to meet the challenges, knowing that, hey, I can get through this, right? And I was able to successfully do this X many of times in a row. I know I can do it again, right? And something like fitness really allows us to tap into our inner power and discover our strengths, right? And I, like you, have been increasing my fitness and have found it to add so much more value to my life. Emotionally, physically,
Oh, yeah. My body doesn't hurt nearly as much as it
Right?
used to.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah. And I know on my fitness journey, I've lost over 20 pounds now.
Wow.
And that's had a significant impact on me being able to stretch and just in my overall health and well-being. And geez, just 4 short months ago, I didn't really see the extra weight as a problem. It wasn't until I, in my story, received some news from my physician that I was pre-diabetic that I decided in that moment to take action.
Yeah. Some changes need to be made now.
Right. And, you know, Ryan, to your point, it's not easy. I didn't want to do it. And I'm really fighting some patterns in my mindset, those limiting beliefs that tell me I can't do it. And when I'm in the gym and I'm working out and I'm challenging myself, that's when now my mindset and that self-talk is now changing. And now it's less you can't and it's more yes you can, yes you are, and yes you will. And I have to remind myself, you were able to meet this goal that you set for yourself X many of times now. So no, that's not true. And really challenging some of my old beliefs and those old thoughts. And it's really a daily practice.
Something that never truly ends. You never get to one point. I think anyone who's in the fitness world never gets to a point where they're like, yeah, this is easy. Like I can just, don't even think about it. It's like, no, it's always a challenge. It's always discipline. And I know when I was starting off, it was hard. And, you know, it's understanding that regardless of the avenues that we're looking to achieve those goals, it's understanding potential limitations you have and then working through them. Like in terms of fitness, not everyone can achieve the same amount of stuff following the same plan or the same goals. You have to set goals within your life and that can work within, you know, your capabilities.
Absolutely. Everyone is unique, right? And what works for one may not work for another. However, that framework of starting small and building onto that, I think is applicable to a lot in life, including fitness, right? And even in business, right?
Of
we
course.
can apply that too.
From your clients and individuals who are coming in, what sort of success stories are you hearing? What sort of things are you hearing from people from those first days when they're like, I'm lost, I don't know where to go, to the I finally achieved that goal. Now I'm setting new goals.
Right. And so for me, I'm working with clients who are working against those challenges like imposter syndrome. Maybe you're familiar with imposter syndrome.
I think a lot of people have that moment where it's like, I don't deserve this. How did I get here?
I don't belong. Right. And I've also worked with clients who are able to overcome those people-pleasing tendencies that many of us have. I know myself included. I have to remind myself at times to, am I meeting my own needs first? Because I've experienced along my journey a time of burnout in my life. And for me, I wasn't setting firm boundaries around my time and my energy.
Boundaries are a hard one.
Oh, gosh. In life, at work, everywhere, boundaries, right? Especially I'm teaching and boundaries are so important in that environment as well. And back to the question, I've also been helping people overcome the challenges. I mentioned imposter syndrome. I mentioned people pleasing. And there was one more I wanted to mention, those limiting beliefs, right? In fact, that was the first book that I authored, Ryan, was on shattering limiting beliefs and living an empowered life. And that speaks to my story of how I was able to transform that victim mentality and really embrace that growth and empowerment mindset that's so important to my development, both professionally and personally.
A lot of the things that we're talking about here can apply to anyone on their journey, but I think it is incredibly applicable to newcomers as they're coming here and building a life. You know, there's going to be a lot of barriers they have to overcome. There's a lot of new legislation that's come out with the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, where international students are incredibly frustrated at the moment of what it could mean for their residency process. But through this information, they can apply this mentality and setting goals to help them in their journey of either first steps becoming a citizen of Canada and then building their life here in Canada.
Yeah, Ryan, that's such a timely question, as I currently am teaching a class of 22 students who are quite stressed right now and unsure. And that energy comes to the classroom. And so this is my opportunity to meet them where they are and have those genuine conversations with them about how, yes, life is challenging. Yes, life is unfair. And currently they have been dealt circumstances that some might conclude are unfair. And we get to find a way through, right? And that may require sacrificing. That may require us to get out of our comfort zone and try something different. And at a time when many newcomers are already experiencing so many changes, now we're asking them, or I'm asking them to do even more, right? And I understand that that's not easy. And I know what's on the other side of that. And that's growth, right? And I know that each newcomer that's come here has come here to grow in some capacity, for some reason. And as difficult as it is, it's only through discipline and consistency and effort that we're able to reach those goals that we set for ourselves. And at times we might experience failure and hardship, and that's okay. Many people before us have experienced similar situations. And so it takes me back to reading. Then let's find stories that inspire us to take action, to create that positive change so that we can fulfill that goal. And in a newcomer situation, that goal of coming to a new country for a new beginning. And for many, it might be the first one in their family. It's very significant. The knowledge that they're acquiring and the education that they are acquiring while they're here is going to go on and affect many generations afterwards.
Of course.
And so I am so privileged and feel so grateful to have this opportunity in my life right now, as many of my students are also parents, have children, and it brings me joy to know that they have come to a new country and that they're very close to achieving their goal. In fact, my class graduates this June.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, so we're in those last stretches, right? I'm keeping them on task, getting them to dig in and really cultivate that mindset of growth and empowerment. Because if we're not paying attention, then we're more likely to be swayed by the negativity that's out there and by the stress that comes with the challenges. And so goal setting is so important, not only to our personal life, but our professional life. And so I want to invite your audience that if they're feeling stuck in their professional life, then maybe it's time to pour some development into their personal life and to dig deeper and ask themselves, what activities really fill me up? What activities bring me joy? Because I really need some energy to be able to show up at work. Because when I show up at work, I'm feeling a little drained because I'm not enjoying it or I'm not feeling as fulfilled.
And then you enter a cycle where you just can never refill that battery because you're always just consuming more and more and more.
And so it's really about taking time to slow down, taking time to reflect. Ask yourselves those deeper questions. What makes me happy? What brings me joy? Because I know a lot of times, and through a lot of conversations, I've discovered many people don't know. And I was one of those people. I really couldn't tell you what made me happy, as in that moment, I was so overwhelmed with not feeling fulfilled. And if I didn't feel that the work I was doing at that time was satisfying. I had to do some inner work, developing my self-awareness through practices such as meditation and journaling. And for me, I really enjoy walking and being out in nature. So for me, those activities tend to slow me down, allow me to reflect, really get in tune with what I want. And the more I start to voice what I want and put it out into the universe, the more it comes back to me. And suddenly I'm not so focused anymore on what I don't want, and I'm more focused on what I do want. And now all of a sudden I'm looking at, ooh, well, this is exciting. If I was able to do that, well, where else can I grow? Right? And then I started to transfer some of that to the workplace, and I started to bring that energy into the workplace and have different conversations at work now, especially around mental health and wellness and stress, for an example.
I think a comforting thing is knowing that regardless where someone is in their life now, everyone had to take that first step somewhere. And I think that's something for anyone, a newcomer, someone born here in Canada, anywhere in the world listening to this, that regardless of where you are in your life now, that first step can be the difference towards your future.
I think that it's only when we're willing to take that step into the unknown that we truly discover who we are and who we're meant to be.
Lots to process, lots to think about. And for newcomers out there, read those books, listen to those podcasts. Not only will it help you in your goals, if one of those goals is language, learning English, hearing people talk in your ear all day is going to help. You're going to pick it up.
Absolutely. Get yourself immersed in it, right? Learning another language, certainly something like English, for some can take a lot of repetition and being immersed in it a lot, right? So, and to your point, yes, start small and work your way towards the bigger goals.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your story and steps we can all take to actualize the successes we want in life.
Thank you so much for having me today, Ryan. I really enjoyed sharing a genuine conversation with you, and I look forward to having many more.
Where can people go to find out more information about your work?
You can find me on my website. I'm at www.genuinelifecoach.com. And I also like to hang out on LinkedIn. You'll find me on LinkedIn under Jennifer Beitz, spelled Beitz.
Have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight? Leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was You Talk, and have yourself a good one.